I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in a suburb of Portland, Oregon. One afternoon, on returning from the store with an armload of groceries, I started the usual ritual of unlocking my front door. There's a deadbolt above and a key lock in the knob beneath it, and I keep the key, which fits both, on a lanyard around my neck. I had turned the deadbolt, and before I could remove the key and insert it in a knob beneath, the knob turned first left, then right, as it would if someone were unlocking and opening the door from the inside. Thinking that my neighbor John, who has a key, had come over to finish some work he had begun on the previous day, I expected to see him when I pushed the door open. There was no one on the other side of the door, but the atmosphere was electric and there was a strong impression that someone had just been there. I called out but received no answer. Putting down the bags of groceries, I immediately went to the phone and dialed John's number. To my great surprise, he answered, and I asked him to come over quickly and help me search for a possible intruder. I want to make it clear that, at this point, the front door, near which I was standing the entire time, was the only way in or out of the apartment, as the back door to the patio and adjacent parking lot had been temporarily blocked. John arrived about a minute later, and together we searched the premises. Every nook, cranny, and corner, of course, but there was no sign of an intruder or anyone else to be found anywhere. And I guess that's a good thing, at least. It is most likely only a coincidence, but I learned several months later that a previous incident with a tenant and an elderly lady known for her helpful nature and numerous kindnesses towards her neighbors had passed away in the apartment about a decade before I moved in. Possible spirits? I'm not entirely sure, but I would say if this lady is behind all the kindness with opening the door and being helpful, I thank her immensely. A friendly ghost encounter. July 7th of this year, after coming home from work, I noticed the commode lid in my bathroom was down. This is not something I ever do, nor does my little boy, Dalton, and he wasn't even here the night before. Since we live on my parents' property, I thought maybe my dad had come down during the day and for some completely insane reason shut my commode lid. So I asked my dad about it, and he said he hadn't been down that day. And no one was home except our kitten Rex, who was only about 5 weeks old, and my hamsters. If Rex was able to climb up the commode, he had fallen into the commode and drowned before I got home that night. That night, after using the bathroom, leaving the lid up, I went to bed. Sometime during that night, while dreaming, I realized I was holding something in my hand. So I opened my eyes enough to see what I had clenched in my left hand. I couldn't tell what it was, just that there was something in my hand. When I woke up the next morning, my hand was still closed. I opened it, and there was a green Saint-Denis type ribbon in my hand. All of my Christmas and Halloween decorations are stored in my building. I'm not a scrapbooker or anything artistic like that at all, so I don't have ribbon lying around my house. And with my OCD problems, if I find it, it's either put where it belongs or thrown away. Anyway, I have no idea where that ribbon came from, nor do I know why I was woken during the night to acknowledge I was holding it. I also don't know why I continued to hold it until next morning. Upon entering my bathroom the next morning, which is connected to my bedroom, I discovered my commode lid was down again. Now this lid is one of the heavy kinds, not the plastic ones. It is very heavy and very loud when it falls. I have probably peed the bed if I'd heard it fall during the night. A week later, as Dalton was in bed, he leaned up and called for me. I was sitting at the computer and asked him what he wanted. I figured this was another one of those nights where Dalton was too awake to sleep and he would find excuses to talk all night. He said, "Mom, I heard our ghost again." When I asked him what was said, Dalton said he just said, "Dalton." When Dalton says his own name, he doesn't enunciate the T. He says Dallin, no T. When he says they say his name, always emphasizes the T. It's like Dalton. So, after he told me the little boy called his name, I told him it would be okay to just lie back down. A few minutes later, Dalton came out of the bedroom and, with a pillow and a blanket, told me he was going to go to sleep on the couch. Within a matter of minutes, Dalton was sound asleep on the couch, which leads me to believe that Dalton did indeed hear a little boy, and it scared him enough that he didn't want to be in bed by himself, even with the light on and being able to see me. July 25th, I woke up with a horrendous headache. This kind of headache doesn't go away with my migraine medication. I literally have to sleep it off, and that can take hours. So I decided to try and take a bath to see if it would relax me enough to be able to go back to sleep. While running lukewarm bath water, I couldn't bear it hot because the heat on top of the headache would make me puke. I wondered if the water running from the faucet onto my forehead would help. Sometimes, pressure on my forehead eases the pain. So I lay down in the tub with my head under the faucet for a while. I'm not sure how long. All at once, the water went hot. I mean completely hot. I shot up away from the stream of water and yelled, "What the heck?" Yes, I said heck. And I also said, that wasn't funny. It wasn't nice, and it wasn't funny either. I know the first instinct would be someone somewhere ran water. Natural assumption. Except Dalton didn't come into the bathroom. He wouldn't have run water in the kitchen sink because we have cold bottled water in the refrigerator. In my bath water, it doesn't fluctuate at all. Never. You can flush the commodes, run every sink, and the washer and the water temperature in the bath doesn't fluctuate. So why did my water turn from lukewarm to hot in less than a millisecond? After I adjusted the cold water, I realized that was mere inches from the top of the tub. My tub doesn't have an overflow. If the water hadn't gone to hot, I probably would have overflowed my bathtub. A helpful ghost in our house prevented fire. Just when my mom and my brother and I moved into the house after the divorce, we immediately noticed that we were not alone in the house. I'm going to tell you about an experience Mom had when she was alone. This was about 2 months after we moved in. Me and my brother were visiting my dad, and Mom was upstairs taking a shower because she was going over to a friend later on. Downstairs, she had a candle in a little candle holder, shaped like a little house on top of the fireplace. She forgot about it, but when she stood in the bathroom putting on makeup after her shower, she heard a scratching noise. Naturally, she thought it was our 2 kittens, so she didn't pay much attention to it. The scratching kept on going and became stronger. She went outside the bathroom to see what the kittens were doing and why exactly they were scratching at this. But when she reached the bedroom, she found them sleeping on her bed. Mom went onto the stairs, thinking maybe me and my brother had returned home. She called out our names, but she got nothing but silence in return. At this point, she was freaked out, but started to walk down the stairs to check out the noise, as it seemed to come from the living room. When she reached the bottom of the stairs, she saw the backside of a long black dress sweep into the living room. She ran after it and saw that the candle holder on the fireplace had caught on fire. She managed to put it out before anything else got damaged. The woman in the dress were nowhere to be seen or found. When me and my brother returned home, she told us all about it, and we thought about what could have caused the scratching noises. It wasn't until my mom tried to scratch her nails against the fireplace that we found out what it was. It seems like the lady in black dress saw the fire and scratched on the fireplace until she got Mom's attention. A very helpful visitor. In 2011, I was rushed to the ER suffering from a very high fever brought on by septic shock. I was quickly admitted and was put on a course of intravenous antibiotics called Levaquin. A few nights into my treatment, I was unable to sleep and found myself content with watching late night television. My attention would frequently wander over to the open door and to the nurses and staff passing by the door. On one such occasion, a woman happened to slowly pass by me, and I muttered, somewhat out of character, "Hello." The woman was pretty pale, with a pale complexion with very, very blue eyes, and her face was framed by nearly shoulder-length brown hair. She smiled at me, then passed her index finger to her lips and let out a soft shh. She then continued down the hall and out of sight. I replayed the odd occurrence in my mind, and it then occurred to me that she wasn't wearing the scrubs of a modern nurse, but rather the white outfit of some turn-of-the-century nurse. I asked the attending nurse if there was some sort of a costume party the night before, and was told no. A few days later, after the fever had broken, I found myself being wheeled out of the hospital, and we passed by a mural of the hospital's history, including a bunch of photos of women wearing similar outfits. Whenever I relate this story to others, they tell me that I was dreaming, and me seeing the photos put the information in my head. I never saw that mural, I say. I was admitted through the emergency room, not the main entrance. To this day, I'm confused by the experience. I've never had any type of paranormal happening. One believer told me that I was being watched over by a kind spirit, but I don't know what to believe. Until then, I'd like to believe it was just a happy coincidence, and if not that, then the spirit was very nice to me and hoping that I would pull through. Thanks for reading.